you're into fast, hot hatchbacks with all-wheel drive and mind-blowing exhaust, guys, well, guess what? The R32 is just for you. Hi guys, my name is Andrew, and welcome to all you need to know about the Volkswagen R32. And when I mean the R32, I mean the Volkswagen R32, not the Nissan GTR, nicknamed Godzilla. All of us, we love that car, but hey, Volkswagen, that's why we are all here. Volkswagen R32, it's the daddy of all Volkswagen. It's the must-have VW enthusiast car out there. It is the Volkswagen R32. If you guys are new to this channel, go down below and smash that like button. If you guys have been here before, well, welcome back. I love having you guys here. And if you guys love this video, go down below and smash that subscribe button. In 2002, Volkswagen released the R32 for the world to see for the really first time. The R32 took some of the pitfalls found in the front-wheel drive GTI and brought the car into the next level. Volkswagen introduced the beautiful 3.2-liter VR6 motor, which was paired with the Haldex all-wheel drive system, allowing the R32 to basically compete directly now with Subaru WRX STIs and the Mitsubishi Evos of the day. Well, I guess kind of, not 100%, but they kind of did. For me personally, the R32 is my dream affordable car. I've personally owned these in the past, and I just love how beautiful they are. I love how easy they are to work on. At least I think they're easy to work on. And I just love the timeless, classic body look of the car. So without further ado, guys, let's get down and dirty with all you need to know about the Volkswagen R32. So let's first talk about some history. With the new generation of the Mark II Golf coming out, Volkswagen wanted to basically try and introduce an all-wheel drive hot hatchback. Just so you guys all know, the Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV, this is the designation that Volkswagen gives for different generations. It's not MK1, MK2, MK3, just so you guys all know and get that straight. In 1986, Volkswagen introduced the Golf Synchro, which was basically the first hot hatchback with all-wheel drive, and was only really in production for 3 years until Volkswagen released its replacement, and that was the Rally Golf in 1989. This car was built basically to allow Volkswagen to enter Group A Rally and compete directly with Ford and Lancia. Around that same time, Volkswagen also released the Golf Limited, which was based off the Rally Golf. This car was also built on the Mark II platform and had a very limited run, basically due to short demand. VW also made the first true crossover called the Golf Country, which was lifted and allowed the car to basically go off-road. Kind of cool. We see this a lot now in today. Volkswagen stopped production of the Mark II platform in the early 1990s and moved on to the Mark III platform. Sadly, Volkswagen wouldn't attempt to make another all-wheel drive hot hatchback until they replaced, or released, I should say, the Mark IV R32 in 2002. So let's talk about the performance of the R32. In 2004 and 2008, the R32 came with a 3.2-liter 24-valve VR6 motor. This motor was a true 15-degree narrow-angle VR6 motor, which is pretty cool. It basically allowed Volkswagen to package this motor into a really small area, such as the Golf. The cool part about the VR6 motor is this motor is basically a mix between an inline-6 and a V6 motor. All of the cylinders are basically put on one bank, and the pistons are basically offset from one each other, which allows the motor to be very small and, like I mentioned before, fit into pretty tight engine bays. Also, a cool thing to note, the Bugatti Veyron's motor and also the Bentley W12 motor are both also designed off of a VR6 motor. If you guys look in the picture, you can actually see here that all the cylinders are on one head, and you can see that they're offset from one each other, which you can see in the VR6 style of the motor. Stock, the 2004 R32 output around 240 horsepower and around 236 foot-pounds of torque. The 2008 R32 got an extra 10 horsepower that bumped it up now to around 250 horsepower. Both cars delivered the power smoothly through the rev range, which was really nice, and it was a big difference over basically the 1.8 turbo motors that were found in the GTIs, so that was a huge overall improvement. Overall, the exhaust note on the R32 is to die for. this is hands down one of my favorite parts of the R32 and what gives it this nickname, the Wookiee. I wonder actually who would win in a fight. Would Godzilla win or would the Wookiee win? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. To help get all this power to the ground, basically the R32 was paired with a Haldex all-wheel drive system. The Haldex all-wheel drive system is electronically operated and basically allowed the car to engage the rear wheels once the front wheels lost traction. So pretty nice feature. Overall though, the car was front wheel bias and basically most of the time 100% of the power was sent to the front of the car and with 0 going to the rear, which helped gave it pretty decent fuel economy. The nice part about it, as soon as the car would sense any kind of slip to the front tires, the power would be split 50-50 to the front and rear. It's also really important to note, guys, in the United States, the R32 only came, or at least the 2004 one, only came in a manual option, and the 2008 R32s only came in a DSG option. The nice and really cool thing, in Europe, the 2004 R32 was actually the first production car in the world to get a DSG option. So it's kind of cool to think that all these supercars nowadays have a very similar kind of transmission, but a Golf was the first car to actually get it. So acceleration from 0 to 60 basically took around 6 seconds for the Mark IVs. 0 to 100 miles an hour took around 16.3 seconds, and the R32 can actually do a quarter mile in around 14.6 seconds at 95 miles an hour. So pretty cool. Overall, the top speed was around 154 miles an hour, which here in the US, that doesn't mean anything really. But yeah, both the 2004 and 2008 R32s had very similar performance, but the 2008 R32, like I mentioned before, had the DSG transmission, which personally gave it a leg up going and doing that 0 to 60. Let's also do a little bit more comparison on modern GTIs. So a 2018 Mark 7 GTI can actually do a 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds. That's also a DSG. I think that's pretty quick. Also, a 2018 Mark 7 Golf R can now also do a 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. That is mind-blowing. It's kind of cool to see what these cars can actually really handle when you strap a little turbo onto them. So for all you guys out there, some of you guys might wonder, why is the R32 such a sought-after car in the Volkswagen community? Well, this is basically why. Overall, no one really knows how many Mark IV R32s were produced. There's an estimation around 10,000 to 14,000 total Mark IVs were produced worldwide. We know for a fact 5,000 were brought to the US. We also know around 2,300 were shipped to the UK. We know for a fact 200 were shipped to Australia and 200 were shipped to France. The rest, we have no idea where they went, what's the max amount they produced. So guys, the Mark V R32 started production in 2005 and they continued production all the way to 2008. It's estimated around 38,000 R32s, or at least the Mark Vs, were produced, and around that we know for a fact that 5,000 of these were brought to the US. The remainder, we don't know where they went either. So it's a little bit different than the Mark IV R32s. The 2004 R32, the nice part, when it was brought to the US, it was brought basically with the full spec Euro interior, Euro exterior. It was very sought after. When the 2008 R32 came to the US, they removed the Euro interiors, they removed the option to have a manual transmission, and they only allowed the DSG transmission, which actually really hurt the value of the car going forward into the future. So guys, overall, let's get a little bit more specific with the US market. Like I mentioned, 5,000 of these cars were brought to the US market in 2004 and 2008. They were designated into different categories. So for example, there was a deep blue pearl, which about in 2004, 40% of the total 5,000 were brought in as this color. All the way down to, let's say, the most rarest of them all is the Tornado Red R32s, which only around, I believe it's like 11 or 10%. Yeah, so it's about 500 of the total 5,000 cars produced were these colors. So these are the rarest of the Mark IVs and Mark Vs to find. If you find one for a good price, definitely try to get one of these in this color. I guess also the other cool part to think of, for this channel, you guys can see that we have a build going on. We have a 2004 Tornado Red R32. That means we have one of 5,000 R32s in the US for the Mark IVs. And it's estimated that, like I mentioned, a total of basically only 1,000 were produced for the US market. So we have one of 1,000 cars for the US market. It's pretty cool. So what are the 2004 and 2008 R32s going for today? Today, the R32s basically hold their value very well. New, the 2004 R32s went for $29,100, while the 2008 R32s cost $32,990. Today, you can basically find a 2004 R32 and 2008 R32 with around 60,000 miles for in between $17,000 to $20,000, depending on the condition of the car. Even cars with 100,000 miles on them, these things are going for over $10,000. And Kelley Blue Book estimates that a 2004 R32 with around 10,000 or 100,000 miles should go for in between $7,000 to $10,000. So it's pretty damn close. We're pretty right on the money when it comes to what Kelley Blue Book values at and what they're actually selling for today. Like I mentioned before and above, the R32, the Mark IVs are going to be the more desirable cars to go and purchase, so you're going to pay probably a little bit of a premium to get a Mark IV over a Mark V. So you guys want to buy an R32. What should you guys look out for when you are going to purchase an R32? So the first thing I would highly recommend you guys looking for is the mileage on the cars. Overall, I would recommend, if you guys are looking for a high mileage R32, say 120,000 miles, the first thing you guys are going to want to check is if the timing chains have been done on the car, because if the timing chains have not been done, this is a very major maintenance issue that you need to be done on the car. Volkswagen recommends around 105,000 miles that timing chain should be replaced. Some people believe that timing chain should never be replaced and you just drive the car until the motor blows up. If you guys do not actually change the timing chains, eventually they will snap, and when they do snap, you will risk basically detonating the motor, or you could risk basically having a piston go into a rod and bending, or a valve snapping. A lot of issues can happen, which can be very, very costly in the end. If you guys are also, like I mentioned, gonna be in there doing timing chains or looking at high mileage cars, I'd also recommend trying to see what the clutch life is left on the car. This should probably be also done around 105 to 120,000 miles on an R32. And if you guys are doing the timing chains, definitely do the clutch while you are in there. It's gonna save a lot on labor and time is money nowadays. Okay guys, so the second most important thing you want to check for when you are buying an R32 is you want to check for rust. Let's shoot over to my boy Warwick over on Gas Tax so he can explain what exactly you guys want to look for.
Hey Andrew, I'm glad I can help you get some footage of rusty spots on the R32. So firstly, my car has had 9 owners, 170,000 miles on the car, so it's being used and abused at the same time. But there are 3 main areas of rust in my car and 1 area that I think is just specific to my car. But anyways, jumping into the first area is the right front quarter panel. And this is just a hot spot for rust. Let me show you the other side. That would be spot number 2 for rust. And if you actually pull back the wheel liner and look inside there, it's actually worse off than the other side. So what has happened, the front quarter panel mounts along here and in the hood, but it also mounts down here. The mounting spot down here has actually rusted completely away, so there's nothing to mount the quarter panel there. So that's a problem. I do believe this happened because when I got the car, there were no wheel liners. So there was place to catch the salt and keep the salt. But also if you just clean your car after every snowfall, that will help. The third spot for rust is I've seen pretty common on R32s or Golfs in general is right here. So what it seems, the water comes off the back window, goes in between the hatch and the handle, and then the water stays in there and rusts. And then from there, rust also happens right here. So nothing too crazy, but annoying. And now the 4th area of rust I found in my car, I think it's car specific because someone had 19-inch wheels in this car and they tried to roll the fenders out. And when they rolled the fenders out, they did a marvelous job at it. And they actually chipped all the paint off, and they didn't roll it with the roller. It looks like they just used pliers or a screwdriver. So you'll see here it's starting to get surface rust and chip away. So those are the 4 areas of rust. I think 3 are known issues, the quarter panels in the trunk, and then the wheel well quarter panel here. I think it's just because someone tried to roll these fenders pretty bad. So hopefully that helps, and let me know if you need anything else.
All right, thanks Warwick so much with that. Really appreciate it. Let's move on to the next one. Another important thing to note, the Tornado Red R32s, even though I said they are the rarest, they are the most sought after R32s out there, you definitely want to be careful. They are known for having clear coat issues. From the factory, I guess Volkswagen just didn't put on enough clear coat, and they have been known to have the clear coat just peel straight off the hood or roof of the car when they're driving down the road. My first R32, the previous owner, he told me he was driving down the highway and he heard something flapping. He got out of the car, right behind him, the whole entire roof, all the clear coat peeled right off of it. So definitely something you guys want to check at. For me personally, when I was buying now my new R32, I knew that there was clear coat issues with this car. That's the main reason why I purchased it. I knew I'd get a good deal on it, and that's why I flew all the way out to Chicago to buy that car. Definitely, if you guys have not checked out that video yet, go check it out. I'll link it above for you guys to check. So the last thing I would actually check out before I purchase an R32 is the maintenance records. You guys want to make sure that the R32 has been maintained well throughout its life, basically like most cars, but it's a Volkswagen and they can be very finicky. So I would definitely make sure oil changes have been changed every 5,000 miles, and I'd also make sure that the Heldex all-wheel drive system has had its oil changed every 20,000 miles. So these are super important things to check for. Ask and see if the previous owner has any records, and look through those records to see what has actually been done to the car. I've also went ahead and posted a poll on Instagram so you guys can actually interact and let me know what you guys have looked at for when you guys are purchasing your R32. So I'll throw it right up here. So without further ado, let's talk about some modifications for the R32. Some of the most common, I'd say, modifications for an R32 nowadays is slapping on a nice catback, making the car nice and loud so you can really hear that VR6 motor, and also put on some coilovers, make the car nice and low, throw in a United Motorsport tune, throw some two-step on that, and bam, there you go. That's what a lot of people are doing with these cars today. The nice part about doing this is you really wake up the car. You'll get to hear the full exhaust notes of the Wookiee. It's, like I mentioned before, it's to die for. It's something that you must do if you own one of these cars. Definitely get an exhaust for it. So those are overall, like I mentioned, probably some of the most common modifications for the R32. On the opposite spectrum, people can go pretty nuts with these cars. So some people can even go ahead, put on some superchargers on the car. They'll put a turbo on the car. They could, bag the car, put 3-piece wheels. They can go buy a big brake kit, camber plates, Euro headlights, redo the whole entire interior. It is endless. People go absolutely nuts with these cars. And that's one thing I truly love about the R32. There are so many endless options that you guys can actually go and do to this car. And the best part about it is there are people out there who are more than happy to help you research things and help you figure out really what you guys want to do to the car. This car, I would definitely say, is the definition for the Volkswagen enthusiast car. The best part also, there's a lot of aftermarket companies nowadays that actually support the R32. The R32 is not going anywhere, and cars are supporting the platform probably for a very long time. So you don't have to worry about trying to find replacement parts, and things are gonna be easy for you guys to basically get. So let's talk now final thoughts about the R32. Overall, to me, the R32 is not just really all about how much power it has, how much it's worth. For me, it's more the feeling, the love of the car. Overall, I love the feeling of the car. I love the exhaust notes. I love how the car just runs and operates. It hugs to the road when you stick a nice coilover set in that car and get some nice, big, meaty tires on the car. It is a well-balanced handling and performance car. The Volkswagen community is also, at least I think personally, one of the closest niched automotive communities out there. People are more than happy and willing to answer your questions. If you have something, you throw it up on, say, for example, VW Vortex, or even on some Facebook groups. People will answer your questions and try to help you solve your problems. Also, the car community has huge show scene. So if you guys are into that stuff, there are shows such as H2O, Waterfest, and also 40s in a Bag, which basically allows the show scene to range pretty large from, your stance scene to more the older generation cars. I hope you guys all enjoyed this look at the Volkswagen R32. If you guys enjoyed this video, go down below, smash that like button, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to see more of the all you need to know about certain car episode, go down below, put a comment, let me know what you guys want to see. If you guys put something down there, I'll shout you guys out in a video and let everyone know that you came up with the idea for the video. Until next time, guys, my name is Andrew, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.